Two Bowls in a China Shop is brought to you by these great companies that are giving us money to let you listen to their stuff.
Bullshit, Kyle. We make this show. You and me. Two Bulls in a China Shop is brought to you by us.
Someone's got to pay the bills, Dan, because it's not our trading.
All right, roll them.
You are listening to an entertainment program put together by a company called Financial Ineptitude. Anything said on this show is not an endorsement or professional advice. Would you really want to tell a court of law you were suing us because you thought taking financial advice from two idiots on a podcast put out by Financial Ineptitude was a good idea? Really? Clown hat, smiley face. Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the China Shop. We are kicking open the doors for an impromptu special announcement type show. Running out of steam very quickly into the intro. That's never a good sign. I'm your host, Kyle, and joining me this week is the flourishing and fabulous Fleri. Fleri's joining me this week to talk about his new upcoming project. But before we jump into that, just like to take a quick moment to say thanks to our sponsors and friends over at Manscaped, Trade Pro Academy, and Orderflow Labs. As everyone should know by now, Manscaped is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming with precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. And with those holidays over, and with us getting that sweet affiliation with them, now's the perfect time to take advantage of our exclusive offer of 20% off and free worldwide shipping using promo code 2bulls at manscaped.com. As always, that is the number 2. And when it comes to institutional quality trading education, take a look at tradeproacademy.com. In our free Discord server, you'll find instructions to take advantage of our discount with them as well. And for those DGens who enjoy trading futures, you definitely want to look at those custom tools and studies over at orderflowlabs.com. And of course, everyone needs to give Fleri a follow on Twitter at FleriV to stay up to date on all the latest news for his new upcoming project. And lastly, be sure to reach out to us with your suggestions, corrections, or questions for future guests. You can do that via email at twobulls@financialineptitude.com, or you can just join our free Discord server where a bunch of amazing people gather to share our struggles and lessons learned with other like-minded market aficionados. And yes, the spelling of aficionado is now correct in my script. I'll be sure to have links for all that in the episode description. But let's just turn the table over to Fleri and say, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, happy Friday.
Right?
How'd we do week 1, 2023? We survive?
We survived, although I was still kept myself in sim just to get back into the swing of it. I think I'll be going live next week. I got to do some research this weekend on what prop account I want to try to start with.
Oh man, yeah. There's so many options out there now too with that.
I know.
It's like really just like a battle of like the rules and like what is your goal really? Like what?
My goal is to fund an account and just get used to trading live money without having like the full risk of like fronting myself, right?
Yeah.
So I think UPro has the right scales and sizes for what I was looking at that's closest to what I've been practicing. And I think that probably makes the most sense to try to keep everything as same as possible and just a little bit of risk, basically.
Right. Yeah, I think that's the right path too, because like you want to find one. There's so many that it's like you want to find one that has a rule set that you don't have to feel like you're gaming the rules in order to get the funded account, because you want to be able to trade your exact plan and your process. So if their rule subset, their trailing draw or whatever, their the size account that you're going to buy, if it doesn't make sense, then you should be trading your plan, not gaming an eval to get funded, to game getting above the trailing draw, then to trade your process. Because by the time you get to trading your process, you probably lost such good touch with it that you're just going to waste some time, right?
Right. Well, plus I also want a reputable one too. I mean, I did experiment with Apex, and I think that led to my first meltdown when things outside of your control, like, oh, it didn't honor a trailing stop, and now I'm still stuck with the position. Like, what the fuck is that all about?
Yeah, I unfortunately saw or heard a bad story of that actually from this morning. Somebody got filled 30 points below their entry and basically just auto stopped on something with them. But I mean, it is like that. Like, that's the risk of what you're undertaking with those. So I don't think it's any one company's fault or rhythmic or anything like that. But
no, and I think that one of the guys in our Discord actually had he was trying to show us something on his account on a Sunday when the markets weren't even open, and it let him execute a position.
Oh, and it violated a rule or something.
Yeah, and then wouldn't let him close it. It just, you're now got a position, and it just executed it wherever the last close was, and then when the market opened, trailing drawdown. There goes 3 months of hard work.
Yeah. Yeah, well, but I mean, either way, good plan for 2023. I mean, come in trading sim with the idea of trying to go live and get into an eval. Take it easy. I did something similar. I traded
Yeah.
very small and just wanted to get a good, series, a green week, hopefully, which barring me jumping back into the market, which I won't be doing. Will be good. I mean, I had a good first week, and this first week has been historically just a disaster for me in my
Oh,
trading.
really?
Oh man, have I blown? I'm pretty sure I've blown an account. I know I've blown an account like the first trading day of the year in my journey, and I've definitely
Mm.
had super bad first weeks coming in, just like too hyped, whatever, like reset accounts. I typically reset balances and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like to full reset at the beginning of the year. I reset my account every week as like just something I do to kind of
Just
feel the payment of trading.
yeah.
But yeah, I've had historically really bad week ones of every new year, and so my goal was just to size down, take any of sort of the stress of like performance or whatever goals, and just try to trade my process, wait for A+ setups, and let's just see what happened. And wouldn't you know it, size down and trade your process in 4 green days and a green week with about an 80. What did I have? A 70 something percent hit rate this week. So really happy with week
Ooh,
one.
yeah.
81.82% flat to flat, 72.86% profitable. So really happy with that. 2.7 profit factor for week one. And, again, just like ease in, like I want to ease into 2023 from a trading perspective and yeah, just make sure you, like you said, get your feet kind of underneath you a little bit and see what this market wants to do. It's kind of, the market's in a weird spot too, right? Like it's just been ES has been in a big balance range,
Right.
NQ a little bit wider range, but relatively the same general idea of like we're in a balance and kind of like on the edge of precarious spots from last year's yearly lows within strike. And yeah, so either way, happy with week one and excited for 2023.
I gotta ask you, do you take time away during the holidays? Like, do you completely like cut yourself off of watching the markets for like a week or two?
I do, which probably you could argue either way, but like it probably has something to do with why coming back full strength doesn't make a ton of sense.
Right.
It's like, oh, I just took 2 weeks off and here I am just throwing it around. But yeah, I think I traded. The schedule this year was a little weird with the way the holidays fell.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think I took like a week and a half away off from trading. And it's funny because I went from December was a little bit, was it slightly positive for me, but I went from what was basically my best like 2 week stretch of the year to
Mm-hmm.
my worst week of the year, of course. So it was
You've talked about that with us before, that you have a tendency to give it back.
yeah, it definitely is an emotional pattern that I'm aware of. So, the timing of the holiday was nice to be able to cut it off. I wish I would have finished the year on a stronger note. I did make a point to come back and have I had like a small green day to
Yeah.
end the year after like my just disaster of a week or whatever.
Just get one in there to boost that confidence.
Exactly. Just finished the year on a green day. It was like, I think I took one trade out of like the OR and it was just like, okay, there it is. Like finish the
Yep.
year on a green trade, winning trade, and we'll just come back next year. So yeah.
Close it up, go to the cabin.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Or shovel snow or snow plow snow
damn
oh my God. It's just been so brutal up here, man.
Were you in Minnesota?
Minnesota, yeah. So we just had, we had record colds for the year, whatever in December, and then just like had a foot of snow or something like that this last week. I mean, waist high. The good old snow plows, they come through after you finish using your snow plow in your driveway. And then right when you get done, they just dump it right back in the end of your driveway. I mean, like waist deep. So,
oh God. We didn't get nearly as much, but we got quite a bit too over here in Illinois, and because we're trying to sell a house too, so I had to actually go back to the other house to shovel it for a showing that was coming up. Like, God damn it, I got 2 driveways to shovel now.
Yeah. Oh, it's just like that's the worst. The shoveling is the worst. I don't mind, or like So I'll shovel. We have a big snowplow or whatever snowblower, so I'll do that. Like once, and then you just kind of try to upkeep it with the thing. But some of that stuff that plows come by, you can't put your snowblower through that stuff. You got to get in there. I'm too old for this stuff, man. My back's hurting, my arms, my shoulders are hurting.
I call that my only exercise in the wintertime. So I do it all manual, baby.
I'm in the same camp. That might be the most exercise I get too.
Oh, man. All right, man. This is enough chit chat. Tell me about what's going on, man. What do you got going on for this year? I got to hear it.
Yeah, pretty exciting. So we are launching what's we're calling YouTrade. And it's a company that I started with, partnered with a marketing firm that does amazing work with creating marketing, branding, and content, and really had the idea to try to document what this trading thing looks like, and not be focused on this shot calling and Ferraris and all the stuff that whatever some people do or don't do or whatever. But our vision was, let's just document what this process looks like. And so we're calling it YouTrade, kind of like a little bit of a play on YouTube, because we are going to be creating a bunch of content or premium content around this. And so, again, the goal is to just kind of take my journey and a handful of other folks that we'll be working with journey, some amazing traders, and just document, the fact that there is no one way to make money in this market. There is a bunch of ways to make money. There's even more ways to lose money. And we just want to kind of be raw about that and, document that process. So not only will there be, some premium content, high quality content built around sort of following the journey of the team, the YouTrade team, but we also built a Discord that'll just be kind of that classic Discord. We'll have, live voice sessions in both the open and the close. We'll be sharing sort of like our trade plans, weekly views, high time frame views. And then, again, like obviously members then would have access to, just kind of the conversations back and forth. So our big thing is trade, content, and community. So we're basically active trading the markets. We want to be consistent and profitable and just kind of document that. The content piece is the documenting of that. And then obviously just the community and the benefits of, relationships like this one and just with other traders, and, how you can just learn nuance and just build what is your process from this Frankenstein thing that happens, right? When a bunch of smart people get together and you can kind of pick their brains. So excited to see what that looks like.
One of the things that I know that I didn't like about other trade groups that you get into, and I've heard other people talk about it too, is that when you see everybody just talking about success, it makes you feel like you're doing something wrong. When nobody talks about the bad side of it, like when you have a tough day, how do you recover? What lessons do you learn from that? And that's something that we've always tried to do here, in the China shop, try to put the spotlight on that aspect of it. I love the fact that somebody else is picking up the reins and doing something similar.
I appreciate that. Yeah. And I absolutely agree. I love that about your guys' community as well, too. It's, it's just a bunch of like-minded people trying to make this the way that they can provide for their families, or, have some extra spending money or whatever that looks like. Either way, it's like a bunch of people who are serious about finding that consistency. And at the end of the day, too, it's like, if you can't be honest about the pitfalls of this thing too, and just like where you're at in it, it just slows down that progress. It slows down the process. And, we're all always working on something. We're all always working on adjusting potentially what does our process look like and how we're viewing the market. So yeah, either way. So it's called YouTrade. Our website should be going live here in the next few days, but definitely watch for my Twitter, which is @Fleri_V, or the YouTrade Twitter, which is @YouTrade.Market. Our website is YouTrade.Market. And there'll be more information coming out on that. Partnered, like I said, with a marketing firm that does amazing work. We've got some cool stuff in the works. We'll be doing a podcast as well. So love to have you on that here shortly.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that. What's going to be the focus of that one?
So we're calling it Globex on the Rocks. And the idea is just to kind of like have, just a conversation, whether it goes into specific trading or if it's, talking poker or whatever it is. It's just kind of the idea of like, almost like the late night show of trading.
Right, right.
Could be serious, could not be, whatever. And so, yeah, Globex on the rocks. And so that's kind of the idea. So if anyone is interested in joining on Globex on the rocks, definitely looking to see if anybody wants to share a whiskey with me, in the late night and have a conversation.
Okay. On the road. I was thinking of a harder substance.
Oh, Jesus Christ, man. Well, I mean, listen, each their own. We probably have a limit, right? If it's legal in your state, you can bring it on the rocks. How about that? We'll leave it at that. But to each their own.
I love that idea too, because Globex is so slow that you need something to distract you anyway. So
There you go.
it's like the perfect concept. It's like get something to keep you from like chasing and doing stupid things, and I don't know, trading with other people is just fun anyway.
Yeah, there's, and so like that is a piece of it too, right? Like there's an entertainment piece to that, like whether you want to call it trade attainment or whatever it is, but there's the entertainment part that like keeps you from interacting with the market when you're not at an area of your interest. There's the educational part, and there's sort of like just this like almost like vlog type journey part that I think is a benefit, right? Like I've learned a lot of what is like key in my process, I've learned through other people and then just found a way to incorporate it into what I need to lean into because of my emotional, pitfalls and or strengths, my time availability and all of those things. And so, I think it does offer kind of like what would be that like ideal, like, even newcomer or somebody who is already established that just wants to kind of like you said, hang out. And, the cool vision I think with this too is that, we have content creators in this. And, as this grows, I think it grows organically with the community. So, content for contract, like let's just say the community looks for, like, they're like, hey, we really want to know a little bit more about, cryptocurrency. Like, okay, let's see if we can find a content expert on cryptocurrency and we'll have them partner up with our team and create some high quality content, whether it's educational or just some trade reviews from people that we respect in that sector of the markets. Or potentially people from our community that sign up that, show themselves to be leaders of the community, give them an opportunity to shine and, maybe make, some money in the process, creating content with the team. But excited for the team that we have to start with. Two really strong individuals, Baba Yaga,
Okay.
who's just been a good friend of mine for a while. He's been on some of your guys' stuff as well.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
a really cool guy, in a very similar spot in his trading journey and just like finding his process and looking for that consistency and profitability moving forward. And excited to have him. His views on the markets are just so sharp, and the way that he's kind of mixes structure, profiling with
Right.
large orders coming in, order flow, whatever. And then Mr. Banks, which he's another trader that I've just been friends with through the Discord communities, friends with Baba as well. And, he comes from a very risk oriented background, and he's kind of like the rock of the group, right? He's the guy that keeps us from doing too much buck wild stuff. So always good to have a guy on your team that's centered in risk management and things like
Right.
that. So yeah, it's like you got the guy on your shoulder going, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, you need that guy.
You do. So yeah, again, those guys will be helping making content. They'll be in the Discord sharing their views and on voice and stuff like that too. So just excited to see what happens with this. And yeah, that's what we got cooking.
Did you get Zach Morris or any of those guys to jump along too?
No, we're not doing pump and dumps here.
Thank God.
Oh, geez. Those guys are in some hot water, aren't they?
Yeah, there's a big old court filing that
Right.
Yeah, I think we talked about that with Eric 2-3 weeks ago, maybe.
Did we chat about that the other day too? Think it's like,
it feels like we did.
The thing is like what they always forget is that you can't sell into your followers. You can pump, you just can't dump into your followers. And if you do, you just have to be honest about it.
Right.
You just can't sell and say you're still long.
Still holding.
Yeah. And that's like, it's like they've already got all the, like they're already in the position. They told everybody to get in the position. And they got the momentum, the volume to like get their position. Like all they had to be is like, hey guys, we're selling, it spiked. And and
and
then
then you're
everyone
done.
else can do it, right?
Yeah.
Like they just lie, and then the
Well,
rest.
and then they got documents like showing the communications between them. It's like, oh, I can see when so and so
Oh
comes, and the price
yeah.
spikes, and it's just brilliant, just making money over these fools.
Well,
Wow,
there's always somebody who's going to roll on you too, right? I mean, obviously somebody narked on them.
I would hope so.
Somebody from the inside. I mean, it's got to be one of their buddies. I think I saw that there was like Discord chats or emails or something where they were like, yeah. Either way, I could think of better places.
What's the deal with people thinking you can just delete your Discord messages and then, oh, everything's good?
Oh yeah, they're not on some server somewhere that the
Yeah.
government can't get their hand. Yeah, exactly.
Like everything is saved everywhere. I think there's even like websites that you can go to where you can look at archived versions of pages if you like want to find a story that was taken down. Like, oh yeah, all that stuff is backed up. There's fucking
Uh,
data centers everywhere, and these things are massive.
you know what else works?
What's that?
Not running a pump and dump.
That would probably be ideal.
Yeah, yeah. Just saying. There's that option too.
They're picking up steam too. I keep getting Discord messages from people flooding, telling me about I won access to their pump
The
schemes.
bots on Twitter, the crypto bots on Twitter. Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, I thought Musk took care of all that.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, you missed a few. He missed a few. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I'm super stoked to see where this goes. I'm really looking forward to seeing you. Is it YouTrade.Market?
YouTrade.Market. Yep. It's the same for all of the social media and stuff like that. The content piece is scheduled to launch in February. We will be putting a bunch of free content out. We're also going to be running a free morning show called the Opening Range, where we do just kind of a walk down of our pre-market prep. So there is some opportunity, like YouTube Shorts, TikTok Shorts, stuff like that, to kind of see what the product will look like. And then obviously then every morning the Opening Range. But then most of what we were talking about, the Discord, and then in February when we launch the content section of that, will be sort of member access only, but there'll be plenty of social media stuff to check out, and would love just anybody to just give us a look.
I love the way that you're handling the coming up with the content. One, you're getting the members to give the input of what they want to see, but one of the hardest things I think in trying to find the information is knowing whether or not you can trust the source. So having a successful trader, somebody that people respect, and yourself, having you like be the one to be like, okay, this is good information for learning more about crypto, or this is good information for learning about this setup or this process. Like it just it makes me feel a lot more comfortable like trusting the information that I'm finding.
Yeah, I think like that's where the vision kind of came from for the content piece too, is like I talk about this all the time, but like that YouTube like rabbit hole, or like the what book to read rabbit hole,
Right.
when you're trying to figure something out, even when you're trying to like look into a new style, like hey, I'm really interested in learning more about profiling. Like, where do I start? And it's
Right.
like, good luck. There's tons of great content out there. I'm not saying that like what we're going to make is going to be like, whatever, better or worse than anybody else's stuff. I'm just saying that it's hard to filter. And,
Yes.
I think we're going to set out to try to be that filter for our members, and even for some of the stuff that we'll put out there just, to the general public, because that was a tough journey. I'm actually talking with a guy now that I met at the poker tables at a tournament about a week ago. And we were talking trading, and he just moved from Vegas. He's here in Minnesota now. And, there's just not enough games, enough tournaments in
Right.
Minnesota for that to be his career. So he was looking for other alternatives. And he's like, man, trading just seems like pattern recognition the same. And so I gave him a few things, that we do to like go look up. And it's funny because he came back and said the same thing. He's like, God, there's so much content on the internet. Like, what's good, what's bad? Which ones of these should I look at? And it's funny, like, I'm thinking like, man, I just will love when we get in a place where I feel like I could just say, hey, check this out. Check out YouTrade. And there's, at least like what we're doing and or what people are asking for, the topics that will be asked to talk about, that it'll be, like you said, like a trusted source to the best of my ability and our team's ability on that information. And it's kind of like that, in the kitchen, we used to say this all the time, like and generally as a manager, like if I don't know the answer, I'm not going to bullshit.
Yes.
I'm going to go find the answer, or I'll find a content expert to help you get that answer. But I'm not just going to pretend like I know what it is. And we're going to approach this in the same way. Like I feel like I'm a content expert in my process. But
Right.
that doesn't by any means make me, a content expert in what does, gain loss support look like in crypto, or, what kind of market moves can you expect on data in crypto and things like that. So, again, I think that's where that approach of like just being that filter and also making sure that the content that we do produce I'm excited to show it to you. It's going to be really, really high quality, and the team is just amazing here that's putting it together. So
Why do you think people have such a hard time saying I don't know?
because everybody wants to know, right? I feel like, is it an ego thing? Like they just don't want to, like,
I think it is.
whatever. Man, what I don't know is
Like fill
could fill this
volumes.
room, could fill this studio.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah. So excited, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk about it a little bit too. But
Oh, fuck. I'll be on the lookout for that. I cannot wait. I'll make sure that this episode too gets updated with links to that once it does go live too. So if you just
thank
keep
you,
me in the loop,
thank you.
I'll make sure we share that with our group too, because I'm sure there's a ton of people in our community that love to learn more about this.
Absolutely appreciate it.
Support for Two Bowls in a China Shop is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package is the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 7 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer to you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code 2BOWLS at manscaped.com. That's the number 2. And if my math is correct, that's about 14 million balls, and that's a lot of balls. I've tried beard trimmers in the past, but the electric pain of a trimmer catching the sensitive skin of my beanbag had turned me off grooming below the waist in the past. But after receiving the Performance Package 4.0 from Manscaped, my attitude towards below-the-waist grooming quickly changed. The Lawnmower 4.0's advanced skin-safe technology is a game-changer and quickly put all those old fears to rest. The cutting-edge ceramic blade really shined here, and I didn't experience any discomfort while mowing down a severely neglected and overgrown landscape. And trust me when I say this, but I gave this thing a workout. The 4000K LED spotlight is a great touch as well, especially when taking advantage of the fact that Lawnmower is waterproof. That's right, no more mess on the floor when you just use it in the shower. The Lawnmower really is the best ball trimmer I've ever come across. But the Performance Package 4.0 doesn't just come with the trimmer. It's jam-packed with goodies including Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant, Crop Reviver Toner, a surprisingly high-quality pair of free boxer briefs, and my personal favorite, the Weed Whacker Nose and Ear Hair Trimmer. No longer do I have to resort to ripping out overgrown nose hairs with tweezers, and because the waterproof Weed Whacker also provides proprietary skin-safe technology that helps reduce nicks, snags, and tugs in my delicate nose holes, it's a much more pleasant experience than the old methods. And not only do you get that free pair of boxers, they also throw in a free travel bag to hold all that swag. It's time to take care of yourself, so go to manscaped.com and get 20% off plus free shipping with code 2BOWLS. Trust me when I say this, fellas, your balls will thank you. I know mine did. So get 20% off and free shipping with code 2BOWLS at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use code 2BOWLS. And that's the number 2. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. So you talked a little bit about poker, and we talked before about the similarities between the two. Do you ever consider talking about your poker process too, maybe?
Yeah, let's do it. I mean, that might be a good Globex on the rocks conversation. Have you join and we talk a little poker or something?
I'd ask you now. You said you've been running really well. How's the tables been treating you now?
December was good. I just had a deep run. There's a 2-day tournament running, or a multi-day tournament running up here now, and I literally had I had 200,000 going into the last hand of the day before we bagged for day 2, and I flopped a straight against the set with the only person in the tournament that has more chips than me.
Oh no!
There was 14 people left in the tournament, and yeah, wouldn't you know, the turn paired the board, and
Of course.
I did not bag the tournament. But short of that, it's been a really good run in the local tournaments here. But yeah, I mean, it's very similar. The decision making process, like risk management, the math of it. Tournament poker is a tough thing because like you just never win. Like you never win.
Right.
You should expect to lose basically every tournament that you play, but similar to a risk reward and a win rate strategy, like the reward is so big when you win a tournament that your win rate can be very low. So like imagine if you're a swing trader, right? And your average trade is like, a huge R multiple. Like when I win a trade, like I think like daily swing traders or like high time frame swing traders, right? Like they might take a stop that's like, 50 or 100 points or something like that. And you're like, God, how can this guy take a 50-point stop on size or something like that? But when he hits the trade, he hits it and it goes, 1,000 points, 1,500 points or something like that, because they're in these like big daily moves. Tournament poker is very much like that. It's like you might go, weeks without cashing, or maybe like not like you might get a min cash or something like that. Yeah, but you don't make a deep run, and then boom, you win a tournament, and that covers your last 100 buy-ins or something like that. So it's very similar in the sense that like there's that win rate to dollars won, ROI sort of like correlation. And there's that decision-making process. There's pattern recognition, like this person bet this way. What did they do last time they bet this way? This person bet this amount. What did they do last time they bet this amount? What did they do from this position? And there's a lot of stuff, not only for your own personal hands like that you play, but like watching other people. It's the same as watching markets and being like, wow, okay, I see this big seller coming in. Last time they sold this area, this is what happened. Let's see if it happens again. Or,
Right.
big buyer came in and then we push back into that area. Do they rebid that and reload the bid in that area? It's like if a guy bets the flop and then he checks the turn, to some percentage time when he bets flop and checks the turn, this guy's usually pretty weak and he was trying to continuation bet and he didn't have anything. So then, I might fire any two cards and try to get him off the hand on the turn. And, it's the same thing. It's like, okay, what percentage probability does that work? And it's kind of very similar in that sense of like you identify these spots, call them setups at the poker table, and you take them because they're plus EV. That's kind of where the Fleri EV comes from, like Fleri EV is like it's a positive EV.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why the V is on there, Fleri EV. So like it's positive EV moves, positive EV setups, and EV for expected value. Like if I do this, I expect to make money over the long term. Fleri EV.
Right. Not electric vehicle. You're not
we're
not a Tesla fan.
Although I'll take a Tesla. I don't mind a Tesla.
I think everyone would take a Tesla.
Yeah, I mean, if Elon, if you're looking to sponsor anybody, we will both take Teslas. Thank you very much.
One of the things I always thought was very similar between poker and trading was the bankroll management aspect of it.
Oh,
like,
yeah, 100%.
I always thought that was like the closest correlation between what seemed like they should be completely different activities.
So funny you say that, because that's one of the things I want to try to do in 2023 and kind of with this new project is look at a bankroll from that poker idea. And typically what I would do with a poker bankroll is you want 100 buy-ins. And so you want 100 buy-ins at any poker tournament level that you're playing or cash game buy-in that you're playing. So, if you're buying into a cash game and it's $100 buy-in, you want to have 100 of those buy-ins before you move up to the next level. And so, $100 buy-ins, pretty smaller stakes table, but like maybe that's like a 2-4 table, 2-4 limit table or something like that. Well, you're playing 2-4 limit until you have, above 100 buy-ins for that and about 100 buy-ins at the next limit up. So you should be grinding at that level at 2-4, and you shouldn't be playing 3-6, which you might want, $150 or $200 for, until you have basically doubled your bankroll. And when you double your bankroll, then you step up, and now you have 100 bullets at this level or 100 buy-ins at this level. And I think that same idea, having 100 stops or 100 R, is a relatively good spot. And when you're above that 100R, but maybe not at the 100R for the next contract size that you want to take, somewhere in there is where you shot take, right?
Right.
And, so let's say you're a 5-lot trader, 5 MNQ. That's $100 risk, right? So it's the same kind of concept of what we just talked about. Like, if you should have then 100 of those 5-lot trades for whatever your stop loss is. So if your stop loss is 15 points, then you should have $15,000. And so on and so forth. And so then you wouldn't double your size or increase to 6 or 7 or 8 or whatever the ladder is that you would want to look up, or however many rungs you want to jump at once until you get to those 100 buy-ins. And I think, essentially what you're saying there is 1%. Like you're risking 1% of your account on every trade. You're risking 1% on every poker buy-in. I think there's a lot of merit to that being like a good structured way to time your shot takes, or have a zone where you plan on taking shots. Maybe, I'm going to play a higher buy-in because I have, I'm at 150 buy-ins at this level. So I'm going to try one session. I'm basically going to risk 2R on this trade. I'm going to risk 2 buy-ins at the next level up. And maybe you can hit a nice little streak while you step up or size up or whatever that looks like. So I think to your point, there's a lot of merit to approaching bankroll management and account size management in a relatively similar fashion, especially with the shot taking. I mean, that's more of a poker term, like shot taking a higher stake. But I think in poker and in trading, there's the right time to shot take and there's the wrong time. Like, you don't shot take a poker game when the table that you want to step up in stakes to is full of regulars. Like, you don't want to go shot take, the 5,100 game when it's nothing but the regulars. But you do want to shot take the 5,100 game when you are, above your 100 buy-ins for the current level you're at. And there's a bunch of recreational players at the table, and you can see that, because if you're playing enough, you should know what the regulars at the table look like and what the recs look like. And you want to go to a juicy game. So shot take when the game's juicy. When would you take a 2R trade? Well, you take it when there's an A+ setup. You're above your 100 buy-ins, maybe at about 150 R for that level that you're trading, or that size that you're trading. And, you see an A+ setup. It's a Leroy up, and the internals are all positive. All right, well, maybe I'm going to take a 2R trade today on this pattern. And boom, I mean, that's to me when you should be sizing up, when you should be shot taking in poker. And again, I think to your point, there's a ton of merit in looking at those in the same way.
I'll throw in one other condition on there. You should also be running well going into that shot taking.
Oh man, running to the run good. The run pure is such a thing. And whether it's like the actual universe of run good, that's like, you can't lose a hand, or, every all in, your ace jack always beats the pocket nines.
Right.
Sometimes it's just like the confidence that you're running good.
Yes.
Like, you just don't even have those negative thoughts. Like, I feel like that's what my December was. Like, every race that I got into in a poker tournament, it would be like, I'd have the ace jack. There was no question that jack was hitting and those nines were toast. If I had the pocket nines or the pocket sevens and I was up against ace king, zero chance I'm not flopping a set. And it was like that, for a good run. And I think it's like, one part you're just kind of like putting it out into the universe, and another that you're just like, you're not scared to take those spots because you've seen what the net result of just letting that of expectancy play out has been, at least, recently. And you're a little bit fearless, right? Like, you're following, you're planning your process.
Yeah, you have the confidence in yourself
100%
to be able to not play scared. Because when you take some losses in a row, you start questioning yourself, questioning your decisions, and then you're not executing as well as you should be.
Yep.
You don't want to be putting yourself in a position where you're chasing losses by trying to size up. That's always a disaster.
Well, and the old adage too, like, you don't leave like a hot table, right? Like, if the game's good, the game's good. If the market's good, the market's good. Like, you should be in it, right? And I think there's some of that too.
As long as you're still fresh, and as long as you still feel good and you're seeing and thinking clearly.
Yeah, that's a huge piece too. Like,
right?
Yeah. Oh man.
I don't know. There's some games I sat in where even at 50%, I'd still clean house.
Well, yeah. I mean, you find a juicy game, you could pretty much just throw it in autopilot, right? Just play ABC poker and wait for somebody to do something silly. Market's the same way, right? When the market's good, and I mean, like, if you're a balanced trader, like, you should be crushing this week. I mean, if that's your A+, trading from value area high to value area low, or the edges of value, or whatever, from the inside out from POC, like, you should have had a great week. This is your market right now, right? So, in the same way, it's like, you should just be doing your ABC. You should always be at your best if you're putting money at risk in the market. But, like, I mean, let's be honest, it's not always the case. But when it is, you just stick to ABC, right? There's no need to get fancy. You don't need to be trying to bluff somebody out of, whatever, like, some strong hand, like, just because, right? Like, I'm here, like, you're not winning this one. Like, you just wait for pick your spots, right? And poker, that's what I say, pick your spots. And same thing in the market, right? Like, just pick your spots. So it's funny. I like it. I love the analogy.
I love that. Yeah. How many times do we try to bluff the market? It seems like, right?
Oh God.
Now that you've like drawn that correlation, that's all I can think of now.
It's funny. I was looking back at my my losing trades this week, and every single one of them was not in an area that I said I would do business at. Every single one. It was
exactly what I did this week too.
100% of my trades I lost were where I was trying to bluff the market. Like, I think I see something I'd like to see here, and I don't want, or like, I got stopped out or scratched, took an opportunity cost on a trade, and then I tried to impart that trade was still correct, right? Like, so stopped out or scratched on a long. So when we break that low, I'm buying, and it's like, well, no, wait, it's a short. Why? Like, I want it to be a long because my long didn't work, and that's usually we know how that ends.
Or the other side of it is where I I'm late trying to enter a short that I qualified, and then it takes off, and then now I missed that huge move and trying to look for a way to make that back.
Yeah, yeah, the old I should be in this.
And then typically that ends up being like, oh well, I know it should stop here. This is where I'd be taking profit, so I'll just go long here then and take a little bit. Like, no, that doesn't work that way.
Yeah, the market doesn't like to fold their hand either. That's just kind
No.
of one of those things that usually that's why it's usually pretty bad to fade the market and fade price. Doesn't tend to work out very good.
I'm gonna write
That's
that
funny.
down. That needs to be a catchphrase somewhere. Don't try to bluff the market.
Don't bluff the market. I'll buy that t-shirt.
It's got way more capital behind it than you do.
Yeah, 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 definitely.
So what's your plan for next week then?
Next week, I mean, again, hopefully, by the time this comes out and the weekend hits, we will likely be, live with YouTrade. So probably be focused on that, and again, kind of all the things that we talked about, sticking to that slow grind back up into kind of like full,
Trader form.
full R basically trades,
Hmm.
and just kind of slowly grinding back into 2023 and. Would really like this market to kind of break one way or the other too. I'm not a big. I like trading change or bigger moves. So
Hmm.
being in this sort of range, I don't mind trading the edges. But when we're kind of like in the middle, like we are, like kind of currently right now in the middle of value or the middle of balance, it's not my A plus. And so again, my big goal is just to be patient and to stick to the process, and then focus on the community that we're building. So yeah, I mean that's goals for next week, and if any of the A plus trades set up, I'd love to partake. I'll tell you this: if this thing breaks to the downside,
Oh, look
I
out.
mean it's as far as like my work goes, there's not a ton of active support lower.
Hmm.
What it's everything that's lower is what I would call like a hold level, where we've already traded down there, and the market basically it needs to hold that swing low, and
Yeah.
there's not like actively gained support, whereas like there's just nothing but actively gained resistance or lost support above us, which all time frames are pretty much down at this juncture.
Yep.
But bulls are trying here. I've seen this story though before. Like 4 hour swing highs have just not really been historically very good for buyers to try to buy through, at least in all of 2022. So we'll see. But yeah, that's the name of the game for 2023 for me is focus on YouTrade and focus on staying in my process. Like you said, like not bluffing the market. Like
Right.
2023 should be the year to not bluff the market, because in some of the analysis I've done on my personal trades, it's like we were saying, it's almost always outside of my like or bluffing my process too, right? Like I'm taking
Oh,
profit too early, or I'm adding in spots where I like knew I shouldn't add, or like it's always just like when you're forcing it, right? When you're bluffing or you're forcing it. So for me, it's about just really, really trying to get patient and sit in my process and expand into feeling as confident as I do with NQ,
hmm,
in expanding those same setups across like ESCL, UB, RTY, and some of the other products too, like gold and even into the options world and stuff like that as well. So been dabbling in a couple of different option setups, and again, ways to express some of the setups that I have in a different way, or that edge in a different way through options.
hmm.
um, well, I'll tell you this, man, options, it's a different world, man. Those things, they move different. It's a learning curve all over again too. So
Right.
trying to partner with and just share nuance with some people that are more active in that space, and learning a little bit more about that as well.
Oh, I like that. So you're planning on learning along with the group too.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I've got a few people. We don't have anybody set right now in the option space. Obviously, I've been sort of like the think tank that is trying to learn what this looks like. But
Hmm.
yeah, I've got a couple of A plus setups, and I know how I want to express those. But you know, always on the grind of learning more. So
I should set up a roundtable with you and Vico and just let you guys just chalk options because that guy
love
is
it.
a freaking walking algorithm. I've never met anybody who can trade options like him.
Well, I mean, it's the same thing, right? It's like, where do you
Yeah.
go, right? Like, who do you trust? What's the information?
Hmm.
And I mean, you have to vet it yourself, and you have to kind of go through that process. So I'm, fortunate that I have a handful of people, and, obviously this connection and what you just mentioned too, where I feel like I have some people where I can trust what they're saying or share what I'm looking to do with the setup, and then say, hey, here's how I'm expressing it now. Would you express it any way differently, and things like that. But yeah, it's the option space is interesting because it's like most people probably that have a lot of capital would tell you to
Hmm.
just sell premium against sort of whatever your setup is, or
Right.
against the the larger expected move of your setup intraday or something like that. So
I think we also looked up at one point too, like the average contract, like 70% of them expire out of the money. I think
right,
on average are worthless.
I think that's where like a lot of the bigger capitalized, the higher capitalized people are probably selling premium more than whatever. But I think there's merit too, and there's some big changes happening, obviously with zero DTE and just short dated options, um,
Hmm.
that are shaking the markets up, over the last little bit. And I think it kind of reminds me a lot, like, again, back to the poker analogy of, like, there's the old school, like, Doyle Brunsons and the Daniel Negreanu's and the Phil Hellmuths of the poker world that, like, came before this, like, game theory optimal, like, solver
Right.
world that is poker now. Like, the young kids, they would always call it, or the internet whiz kids.
Oh yeah, the first time we saw a friggin' guy who played online poker win a World Series event, I thought was amazing. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's like, oh, this internet kid,
Yeah.
and they didn't think that they had put in enough time and things like that.
Right.
And there's a little bit of that in the markets now with the zero DTE or short dated options push. Like, I think you're seeing a lot of, like, the market veterans that are a little slow to welcome in the fact that this isn't probably going anywhere, and that it is going to sort of change the game. And
Hmm.
similar to poker, I mean, that evolution to, like, GTO changing the way people play cards, or the game of poker, took 15, 20 years, right?
Hmm.
So it may take a while for that to sort of change the markets, but I don't think it's going anywhere. And so it's funny because there's a similar, like, old guard, new guard, with that, like, sort of zero DTE options realm. And yeah, I think you'll see a lot of that continue too, or even, like, the analysis of the markets. I was actually at a final table with the CEO of Spot Gamma in December.
Oh really?
He's a local here up in my area, and I know that they're doing a bunch of stuff that's going to be focused on how to delineate a difference in the volume from the zero DTE and really do better analysis on it versus sort of like the broader markets, or, like, whatever, the outdated or long dated expiry stuff. So
Shit, need to get a drink with that guy.
yeah, I think that's a market, or that's a section to watch. I
Yeah.
think, and how people start to analyze the markets based on that, and how it starts to affect the markets. Because similar to the way GTO changed poker, I think zero DTE will have a more long lasting effect on the markets than the potential just wave that people sort of mention it to be.
When you say zero TT, is that a new product or are you just talking about like weekly contracts and like the 2-3 day?
0 days to expiration. So zero DT. Like, you bought them today, they expire today.
I was just wondering, are they, did I miss something? Are they going to be like having more frequent contracts
Well,
popping up or are you just talking about like the normal weeklies?
they've added zero DTE dailies now for a bunch of the futures contracts.
Oh,
Um,
really? When did this happen?
Yeah, so it typically was like that Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Yeah,
Now
yeah.
you have every day. You have AM and PM expiring. And I think when I say, like, the push
Oh,
of zero
shit.
DT, more the volume. Like, if you go look at where the volume is from long dated, call it, like, 45-day out, 30-day out DTE, which is where historically a bunch of classic setups, you want to be 30 to 45 days out, and whatever, all the different effects of the deltas and the Greeks and stuff that happens better, or is whatever better for your setup, outdated like that. That volume is now moved significantly into the zero DTE.
Huh.
Yeah, so anyways, I don't think that that trend changes anytime soon, and I think if anything, it's similar to the trajectory that GTO push of poker took, where you're going to see a lot more just, like, accepting of the fact of, like, this is the way that it is, and we need to just look to see how this potentially will start moving the markets. And the more people that move into those short dated options, the more those effects that those short dated options will have on the market. Like,
market makers have to hedge as those are traded.
So yeah, interesting. And with that disclaimer, like that's my broad, like I am by no means the expert. That's just like kind of the analysis of that, like what I see similarities between that like old guard, new guard. I see a lot of poker. I see a lot of that with this, like in my explorations of learning options in sort of the options realm of that old guard, like 30-day DTE plus, the volume of the 0 DTEs. Well, like it's very similar, that relationship of like, kind of people just like not accepting the shift or the change, and there's going to be people who accept it and get on board and advance, and kind of are with the curve, and there'll be people that get left behind the curve. And I think this will be similar to that.
I feel like I just got left behind. I'm looking at it. I can't believe
you're early.
You're
still an early adopter. Trust me.
I just finally noticed that there's on the SPY contracts now. I got them every day.
But just, I mean, again, like we're just like nailing the poker analogies today. But like you go look at any high stakes, like, and I'm talking like mega high stakes. Like look at these like 50K buy-in poker tournaments, and the guys that are playing those tournaments. It is very, very much populated with the people who have spent the time doing solver work, GTO, like game theory optimal. And 10 years ago, it would be completely the opposite. And, there's a lot, you see very few of those, like, legends from like the Moneymaker days who made the shift. I think Danny Negreanu did a good job of that. Like he just went, hey, listen, the game is going to leave me behind if I don't adapt to this. So I'm going to spend some of my time learning how these kids are doing this, and it was a good move. And I think there's a lot of parallels to this too. So I don't think it's too late, but I think it's having some idea of how a continued wave of short dated options volume in all indices and indexes is going to continue to affect the volatility in the markets. As we come out of this like post-COVID era or whatever you want to call it, bear market, I don't think it's slowing down. So I think it's something that it's, at least for me, it's on my, like, I think last time we chatted, we talked about like guarding your process. Like there's a piece of my time that I'm spending making sure that this part of the markets does not leave me behind, and that I'm caught up on that learning.
I actually, thanks to that conversation, I think I've done a better job of structuring all of my time to where now I have planned time on Saturday that I spend learning something new.
It's so good.
It doesn't even really matter what it is. I just want to learn something new. I want to spend an hour on it, and then I want to think about how, like, can this improve my process, like you said, or was it just interesting, and I'll move on and look for something new. But having just a way of introducing new material without overwhelming myself, and
structure to bringing in something new, and a structure to filtering out things that are existing. Super, super important.
Another thing I started doing too after that conversation, and I'm actually really enjoying it, is I tried to put more structure to the time I spend staring at the screens. Whereas before it's just like, I'm observing. Okay, well, what am I observing? Oh, I don't know. Well, now I actually have, I've got monthly, weekly, daily levels plotted out everywhere. I've got my intraday levels, and now I know price comes to one of these. Let's make notes. What do I see? And that just gives a lot more focus to what I'm, a lot better use of my time, I'd say.
Yeah, intentional.
Yes, that's the word.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and if there's nothing to do, there's nothing to do. If you're happy with your points you made for the day, or it's not your A+ environment, move on. Go do something else. Go play cards. Go spend some time with the family. Whatever it looks like, right? I mean, that's again, it's like the point, right? Like that's why. Obviously there's the financial possibilities. There's the, freedom of working for yourself possibilities. Like if you're just going to come in, trade, and stare at the markets for, 23 hours a day, because that's possible. And listen, I've done that. I'm still fall into that too. Like, I'll be on vacation on the beach, like charting gain loss levels on my cell phone. Like, it's just like, but I love the markets too. Right?
Yeah.
Like I'm passionate about it too. So I think there's, you got to have that balance, and you have to be able, you don't always have to walk away, but you have to be able to walk away. Like, and at least know that you have that freedom and use it from time to time. It doesn't have to be like some days, yeah, maybe I just want to watch the markets and just see what they do. And like this week, I wanted to just kind of like be looking at the charts and whatever. But I think Thursday, I just like went to lunch. Just go to lunch. Like take a few hours, left the office and just went to lunch. Like I think you have to be able to do that too. Otherwise, like what it's one of the perks of the job, right? I guess, right?
It makes everything so much less stressful when you can just say, okay, nothing's happening now. I'll go work on another project that I got. I'll keep the alerts, so if something happens, it dings, and then I know to walk over and see what's going on.
Yeah, if they could just get all these markets to open up at the same time, like UB opening up at 7:20 or like, it's too early, man.
Right.
Too early.
Or
like,
oil closing at like 12:30. What?
Right. Like, can we just have it all happen all at once so we can just like the same power hour? Maybe that's asking too much.
24/7.
Well, because like, did they not? And maybe I'm gonna just make an assumption here. Like, this could be completely wrong, so somebody fact check me. But did they not set all of these different times for these opens because the pits needed time to sort of open separately? Or like, you know what I mean? Like, is it an archaic system or a legacy system why we still open these futures products at different times?
Probably. I can't. Well,
did we just start a movement to open all futures products at 8:30?
Maybe. Hashtag open it up.
I'll sign that petition. Oh God. I'm sure somebody's like rolling their eyes at whatever I just said.
Oh, right. So you should also rename volume. It's no longer volume. You can't hear it anymore.
Oh God. Wait a minute. I think you just blew my mind.
Oh, really?
Is that why they call it volume coming in?
That's what I thought. When volume increases, like you listen to the scene in Trading Places with Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd. When they're in the pit, you can hear the volume die off. It gets quiet. There's no more trades happening. And everyone gets excited. The volume rises. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's why they call it volume.
I'm literally playing that GIF in my mind of like the guy who's like the brain and he's doing the thing with his hands and it's like is he like in space or something? Oh my God. That's why they call it volume.
Well, that sounds like an excellent place to leave this.
Oh man.
On that bombshell. I don't think I'll ever sound smarter.
Oh man.
All right, sadly, folks, we've come to the end. Fleri has real work to do. He's got a lot of prep to do. He's got new companies starting up. So make sure you guys are following Fleri on Twitter at Fleri_V. You can also follow YouTrade.Market, right? Is it just at YouTrade.Market?
Yep.
And that will be a website at some point, hopefully in the next couple of days. Just keep checking the episode description or follow those tweets. You'll definitely see when that comes live. I want to say thanks to Fleri for taking the time to do a short turnaround and hop on the mic with me, help me fill out the schedule for this week.
Absolutely.
And hopefully be doing some rocks with you on Globex here soon.
Listen, again, as long as it's legal in your state, man, you can bring it to the show. But we're not doing any felonies on there. But I'll bring some good whiskey. You bring whatever you like.
I got some good gummies that I just stocked up on.
There you go. There you go.
Right. Well, we'll be back soon. Thanks, everyone, for sticking around to the end. We'll be back soon with another exciting episode. But until then, have fun. Take care. And don't be stupid.
See you, everybody.
Bye.
Two Bulls in a China Shop is an entertainment program, and all thoughts and opinions expressed in the show belong to the hosts and not of any company. They are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or on any specific security or investment product. It is only intended to provide entertainment about stocks in the financial industry of trading. If you make trades based on what you hear in this show, you assume all risks for those trades.